Every June 6th, millions of people around the world celebrate one of humanity's oldest and most fun toys. National Yo-Yo Day isn't about the simple toy you remember going up and down from your childhood. This is a story of a toy that is hundreds of years old, which became an American phenomenon and is a childhood pastime that evolved into a serious sporting event. Now, the origins of the yo-yo are unknown. It is definitely hundreds of years old and maybe thousands. Reports of the toy evolving from an ancient Greece have been disputed by many historians, including myself. We now believe the items that were identified as yo-yos represented bobbins and that images represented a child holding an airy balos, not a yo-yo. The first documented illustration of a yo-yo comes from Persia in 1490. But this does not mean the yo-yo did not exist long before this. The yo-yo has been present in various countries for hundreds of years, including India, Japan, Europe, and other regions. The word yo-yo actually comes from the Tagalog language of the Philippines, meaning come-come. It has been used there for hundreds of years. Now, in 1928, a young Filipino immigrant, Pedro Flores, would bring this toy to life in America by naming it yo-yo, the old Filipino term for the toy. He trademarked the name, and then more importantly, he ran the very first yo-yo competition in Santa Barbara, California in 1928. What resulted was the first yo-yo craze in America. Hundreds of thousands of yo-yos were being sold across America at rapid-fire pace. Flores' contribution through his entire life to the world of yo-yos can't be understated. Now, this craze caught the eye of Don Duncan, who was a marketing genius. Duncan started producing his own line of yo-yos, the Oh Boy yo-yo, and ultimately acquired the trademark yo-yo, and then hired Flores, who was amazing at yo-yo campaigns, to run all of the Duncan promotions. This was for the first few years. Flores hired Filipinos to become the early demonstrators, and these demonstrators traveled the world promoting Duncan yo-yos. Now, Duncan's marketing genius led him to William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper magnate, and he entered into a partnership where Hearst would use space in his newspapers to advertise yo-yo contests in return for subscriptions to his newspaper as a contest entry, and it worked phenomenal. Wherever these promotional yo-yo events were hosted by Duncan, a craze always followed in that city or town. Hundreds of kids lined up to compete in the Duncan yo-yo contest, where winners received such things as bicycles, baseball gloves, gold, later on television sets. From the 1930s to the mid-60s, Duncan was the dominant producer of yo-yos in America, producing 85% of all the yo-yos sold. The yo-yo was not just an American craze. The craze extended its tentacles to many countries around the world, and the yo-yo has since become a ubiquitous toy worldwide. Over the years, the yo-yo became so popular and the term yo-yo was so associated with the toy, in 1965, a lawsuit was filed by the Royal Yo-Yo Company against Duncan, stating that the word yo-yo shouldn't be trademarkable, but should be generic. And indeed, Duncan lost that trademark of the word yo-yo. The word now is generic, and anybody in America can use that. The Duncan Company ended up filing for bankruptcy, and the era of the yo-yo demonstrators came to an end. Ultimately, the Duncan name was purchased by Flambeau Products, which was the plastic company that originally produced Duncan's plastic yo-yos, and the name Duncan Yo-Yo was revived in the 70s. In the 1970s and 80s, due to the lack of widespread contests, there was a slump in the visibility of the yo-yo, although it was still a favorite stocking stuffer all over the world. Now, in the late 80s, television comedian Tommy Smothers introduced his character, the Yo-Yo Man, and the yo-yo's visibility took an uptick. As an aside, Tommy Smothers was just inducted into the National Yo-Yo Hall of Fame this year. This brings us to the man who created National Yo-Yo Day, Daniel Volk. For over 20 years, Volk worked as a yo-yo demonstrator, traveling the world and sharing his passion for the toy. He became famous for his appearance in the Yo-Yo Man instructional video alongside Tommy Smothers, which became one of the first how-to videotapes to sell over 200,000 copies. Again, the yo-yo has risen. And in 1990, Volk designated June 6th as the National Yo-Yo Day in honor of Don Duncan Jr.'s birthday. Now, contests started being organized again with the first World Championships in 1992 and the first modern national championships held in Chico, California in 1993. We had the American Yo-Yo Association started, world records were established for yo-yo tricks, and then what happened in the late 1990s, yo-yos experienced a significant structural advancement with the introduction of transaxle and ball-bearing transaxle designs. These improvements resulted in yo-yo sleep times going from seconds to minutes. This led to the ability to perform tricks and stunts with yo-yos that could never have been comprehended by the early Duncan demonstrators. The toy has now evolved into a sport that has several divisions being contested at both the national and world championships. Hundreds of competitors competing in these events will demonstrate their skills in 6 different divisions. And for instance, this year in the National Yo-Yo Championships that are being held in Las Vegas, the 1A division involves using just one yo-yo, doing complex tricks. The 2A division, you use 2 yo-yos, one in each hand, doing looping tricks. The 3A division, sometimes called the duplex division, where 2 yo-yos are working in conjunction with each other to perform amazing tricks. The next division, or the 4A division, is off-string, where the yo-yo is not attached to the string. The 5A division is also known as the counterweight division, sometimes called freehand, where the end of the string is not attached to the hand, but to a counterweight, allowing the yo-yo string and the counterweight to leave the hands entirely. And finally, the duos division that is 2 players competing together as a team, where innovation, synchronization, and skill are all combined together, and the goal is to entertain. Now, this June 6th, as we celebrate National Yo-Yo Day, we're not just honoring a toy. We are really celebrating human creativity, the joy of mastering a skill, and the incredible journey of this object that has brought smiles to faces over a millennia. So go out, buy a yo-yo, or grab your own, because it's National Yo-Yo Day, and it's throwing time.